Hi everybody, I'm going to give you a quick tutorial on how to build the animation timeline. First, we start out with building a creative. I'm going to do this really fast, just so we can have a creative ready to go to show you the animation timeline. I'm basically using Gregory's Coffee with a bunch of images that are set up in a tile structure along the creative. As you can see, I uploaded them, I created a background element, and then I basically put those images in a tile fashion in their own group, as you can see here. The reason I wanted to do this is I figured it'd be good to show animation by having different tiles animate in and show you that amongst different types of layouts. So as you can see here, this is the landscape layout, but then when you actually go to the horizontal layout, you can see that the tiles are slightly different. So if you wanted to animate them in, you can actually do that, how you do that for different layouts. And so as you can see here, we've created the actual tiles lined up and not in a checkerboard fashion. Then when I go to the next layout size, which is the portrait, I'm going to set them up so that you actually have the actual tiles in a vertical manner. So you can actually have both the vertical manner and horizontal manner, as you can see. So if I click here at the 1920 by 1080, as you can see, this is kind of the middle layout. And then as I scroll up, it goes from 2 columns to 3 columns, down to six columns. And then if I scroll this way, it goes 6. It's going to go back to 3. It's going to go to 2. And then if I grow it this way, it goes back to 1. So you have all of these different layouts. And so I wanted to show these different layouts and how you set up the animation with these different layouts. So now I'm going to go in and talk about how to use animation. Okay, let's start with the animation tutorial. Now, these are the different topics we're going to go through. We're gonna first talk about turning on the animation timeline. So as you can see here below, we have the animation timeline. It's off. I could either go here and click on, it says toggle animation timeline, that turns it on, which actually pops it up. Or I could, let me just re-click on that, or I can hit this little arrow over here that's going to show the timeline. When you hit zoom will actually set it up so that your actual creative will fit right into that available space, which is quite nice if you do that. And then if you actually turn on the animation timeline, as you can see here, this actually enables the timeline. Now, before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about the layout here. So we have here, go back to the beginning, play, and forward. You have the time lapse. The default is set for 10 seconds. You can go in there and change it. Then we have different settings menus here, as you can see, that are turned off. The original state is the state at which you laid out your entire creative. So we recommend you lay out the creative either in the end state of the animation or the beginning state of the animation, and that would be your original state. When you turn on the animation and you move things around, it's easy just to click the original state button, and that will take things back to the state that you actually, the original layout state. So this is the main layout, and then you have your setting button over here. The timeline is set up so that you can visually see up to 10 seconds. So if I actually hid this, it will actually stretch that to 10 seconds, as you can see here. So the first thing I want to talk about is record, on and off. So we don't have a record button, but the on and off button basically turns on and off the animation. So now, it is actually recording. So if you were to start doing layouts here, that would get recorded as an animation. So what we recommend, say you want to move this, you're not happy with the position or the size of the Gregory coffee as a general layout. You could just go turn off the animation timeline and just fix that like this, as you can see, and then turn the animation timeline on. If you were to do that now with the animation timeline on, it would automatically, change this. You could see here it sets up the original size. And now if I went to the original state, it would actually put it back to the original. Now if I unclick that, it will actually delete that keyframe. And so as you could see for this element, there's no animation. I can also go here and remove that, and that will actually clear the animation. So let me do that again. As you can see here, I shrunk that down. It automatically added it in here. I could just click here and that would completely remove it and put it back to its original state. So that's something that is very important. So you can either add it automatically like I did here, or you can click on that and then go in, and then I want to start with the original size. Instead of 46%, I want to make it 30%. And then it will actually see, it will set it up as the size being 30%, turned on with a key here for that starting point at 30%. So I could actually go in there and start with, say, 0%, like that, and then go to 1 second. And just go original state. And so now, as you can see, it just zooms in from the original state. And I'll just remove that animation and put it back. So the other option is to go to scale and to just click on scale, and it's set for 100% scale. And let's change that to 0. And as you can see, that in this case, the marquee doesn't change, because you're not changing the size, you're only changing the scale. And then if I go to 1, then I make the scale now. Click on it to add the key, and I can actually make the scale 100. So now, as you can see, the animation is moving, but the marquee is not changing. So that's kind of a difference between size and scale. Scale keeps the marquee as it is, where it could size. And so that's kind of interesting. So, if you're actually anchoring something, in this case here, the element was anchored to the center. Let me turn that off and let me remove, so I can actually just unclick that, click there, and I can unclick that, and then I can click on that one and just delete that keyframe. So if I go here and go to the beginning, and let me just anchor this to the top left like this. Now watch what happens. So you see the position was set there at the top left. Now if I go to size and I actually change the size to, say, 30%. Well, I clicked on opacity, sorry. Make the opacity to 100. If I change the size to, say, I shrink that down like this to, say, 30%, or let's make it 30%. Then I could go back to here to 1 second. And then I just go back. I can move this around and go original state. And as you could see in this instance here, now we're just going to get rid of these opacities because they're all 100 anyway. Just click on that and hit delete. And as you could see here, the position, we can just click on that and remove that. And remove this as well. You see, it changed that. So the position actually showed that it was anchored to the top right. And then you see, and then it just scales that way. You see, so you can actually use the size to anchor it to a corner and then grow it, whereas scale could be used to, however it's anchored, just change the scale. So that's kind of the difference between those. Now, one of the other things I'm going to do is let me remove the animation again. I want to have the animation bounce in. So we also have slide in. One of the ways to do that is I'll just go here and I'll change the position. So you look at the size of this. The width is 20%, and it's 5% from that edge. And so it's 20%, it's 5% from the edge. So let's just make it 30%, because that would be 5% plus 20%. If I make it 30% off that edge, and let's make it minus like that. So now it's you can see here minus 30%, same height. Let me just move that key to 0. The needle happened to not be on 0. So you could just click on that, make it red, and you can also move it like this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the 1 second, like I just had, make that 1 second. And then I'm going to then hit original state, and then it's going to come into the original state. So as you can see, it actually slides into the original state. Now I could actually grab that key and change it to 2 seconds by dragging it to 2 seconds like this. So now I can actually go and actually hit play, and as you can see, it's coming in with 2 seconds. One of the things that is really nice, you see how it comes in with 2 seconds like that. What I can do is I could just let me remove this now. And suppose I have that same Gregory coffee, I click on it, I can actually go to my Add Pre-Canned Animations, which is the little plus here, and I can have it bounce in from the left, like that. And so wherever the red needle is, it bounces in, and it actually sets the opacity as well. So now when I hit play, you can see it bounced in like that. So you can have that kind of nice bounce in as such. So that's really nice. I'm just going to remove that again, and I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to make that minus 30, like I just had. And then I'm going to go to 1 second, 1 second as such, and I'm just going to go back to the original state. And now let's talk a little bit about easing. So if I click on that end, you can see it pops up this key editor, which gives you information about it. You can drag the key editor around. You can actually see the position at 0, and then at 1, and then the value, and then you can see it's linear. So what I could do is I could have it ease in where I want it to slow in at the end. So I could start I could do a quart ease out, or a quint ease out. So now if I close that and I go this way, as you can see now, it slows down. Now I can go click on that and do it the other way around and make it speed up. So now as it starts slow, it kind of speeds up at the end, like that. So that's really nice if you want to set easing. Yeah, the next thing I wanted to show is that you could just click on that. I did show that earlier, and you can actually change that to make it 2 seconds, like this. Now, one of the things that might be nice, you can see there the easing at the end. I'm going to change this to, I really like this kind of easing. That's nice. Gives you a little circle design. Let's see how that looks. So it goes fast, comes in fast, slows down, and then slows down at the end. That's very nice. So now let's say I want to change it so that I don't want it to start right away. So one of the features that we have is if you hold right click and you drag, you can actually select both of those. And then when you select both of those, it pulls up a select duration box right up here. So you can see there this was set as 2 seconds. I could change that to be 4 seconds, so it makes it 4 seconds. Or what I could do, if I hit undo and put it back, I could actually go here and grab both of those. And then if I go right in the middle, if I grab both of those, and then I hover over, like this, I can actually then drag and then move the entire one around. So I could have it start at 1 second like this. So now, as you can see, it waits 1 second and then it then comes in after 1 second. So that's kind of a nice feature. Let's just say I want to, let me just drag this up a little bit and make this a little bit smaller. Now it fits into that available area, you see very nicely. Now what I'd like to do is I want to click on this one here, and I just want to add that one. So another nice feature is that if I go here and I put the red pin right here, I could actually copy, let me select that animation, and then as you can see here, you can copy an animation and paste an animation. So what's really nice is I could then go and I can actually copy this animation. Let me do that. So I'm going to copy, and then if I go to this one here and I click on that and I move the needle to the beginning and then I hit paste, it will copy that exact same animation to this one. Now if I go and you see here it didn't go out all the way 30, so what I might want to do is change that to, let me just change that to 100. So then that's all the way out. So now what happens? That one zooms in and that one zooms in, you see. So the copy animation is only good for selecting a single animation that you want to paste. Like that, copy animation and paste. This here is copy element animation, so you can copy this element animation and paste it to another from size to size. So that's another nice option. Or you can copy the entire animation from size to size. So these 4 boxes are really for copying. You have the pre-canned and then you have the save. If you want to select a certain animation and save it and create your own pre-canned, you can do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go and turn these off because I don't want those. And then I'm going to turn off this one, and I'm just going to go back here and select these and just move it. Just move this back, so make it 1 to 1.5 seconds to fade in. So let's just do that now. So as you can see there, that fades in very nicely. And then what I'd like to do now is I'd like to show some other elements, other types of animation. So what I'm going to do now is I want to do the same thing. I want to, so this one's going to come in from the top, this one's going to come in from the bottom, or let's have these two both come in from the top and these two come in from the bottom. And this one fades in, and then this one comes in from the right. You could do that. So I'm just going to click on that one, and then I'm going to, let me just move the needle over to the beginning, and I'm going to make that, let's see, it's 48, it's 30% high, and it's set to 0. So I'm going to set that to minus 50. So it's out like that. I'm going to click on this one and make this also minus 50. Click on that one and make it minus 50. And click on this one and make that also minus 50. Like that. I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to make the opacity 0. I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to make that minus 70, 75. I'll make that minus, whoops. Yeah, it actually moved the anchor to the top left. So I'm going to make that, let's make that 150. So I'll put it way out there. So as you can see here now, I have a little arrow here. I can close them all up, and I can kind of do them one by one. So if I click on that one, I can go, let me go to, if I just go to 1.5, then I click on the frame, then so it's set to -48. And if I go there, is it 48? It says -46. So I just want to go to the, click on the key, the same key. This one here. This was -50. There we go. This one here was the opacity was set to 0. We're going to also keep it to 0 there. Click on that one. Same thing. Make that 150, as we said. And then let me just close these up. This one here. And this one here as well, like that. So now if I go to 1.5 seconds, another 1.5 seconds, and I click on each one of these, and I just go back to the original state, they will all come back to the original state. There we go. So now if I close all these up, you could see that they're all animating. So now if I hit play, that comes in, these come in, and then they fade in. And so let's just have a look at it. It seems like yeah, these two here, this one here, let me just -46. So yeah, it actually is out that way. So that should be 100. 150. And this one also should be 150. And then that one there, so that one there should have been set to come in from over there on the left. So it looks like it's sliding in from way from the bottom from 100. So let's go and turn that off. Turn that off. Turn that off like this. And let me just go back here and just drag that to, that should be position, and then I'm going to drag that to out here. There we go. And then if I go here to 3, just going to make that the original state like that. Perfect. So let's just see how this looks now. Yep, that's what we want. So I'm just going to save this. Now, if we like, we can see now with a different layout, you probably want to lay this out differently. But what I'd like to do is that we look at the layouts that actually have the 2 columns like this. So if we go to the 12 by 12, that's 3 by 3, that's different. This one looks like it has those different columns. And then maybe the 1 by 1 would also work. So those 2 layouts would nicely work. So if I click on this one and go copy layout, I could actually go to that one and this one and copy timeline. So now if I go to this layout like this, let's just see how this looks and works. So you basically can copy to each different layout as such. So if I push this back and hit playback, as you can see, the starting position is not, so if I go here and I go to each one of those, I'm just going to drag it out a little bit further. Drag that one out a little bit further. Drag that one out a little bit further. There we go. Scroll this up. Perfect. Now let's see how this, let me close these all up. And let's just see how this looks. So yeah, that actually doesn't look right. See, that came in on the left. Let's move that out a little bit further, like this. So now hit play. That comes in. And those all come in. Yeah. So that's pretty much how we wanted it. And then let's go to, so now if I go to the settings, you can actually see of all of the sizes, these three sizes actually, of all the layouts that exist in the creative, these 3 are the ones that had the animation because we copied it. So let's also go to this one here and see what this one looks like. So let's just see how this one looks. So yeah, so as you can see here, the starting point, because we copied it, we might want to move it out a little bit. Click on this one and move that one out as well. And now let's, yeah, actually, we didn't want to move it out from there. So let me just remove that and then go back to this here, to this point here, like this, and move this one out as well, like this. Now let's go and see how this looks. Again, I can close this up, close that up, so I can just see those bars, close them all up, and then hit play. That comes in. These all come in the way we wanted it, and then that looks great. I can actually shrink this down like this, so it just gives you that enough space. And then if I hit that, it'll actually fill that area. So go back again and play. That comes in, and then the other ones come in as such. So that's pretty much what we wanted to do. So as you could see now, the if we go and if we look here, we have an animation for this size, an animation. We don't have an animation for that size. We do have one for this size. We don't have one for that size. In theory, what we could do is copy that animation from this one to that one. Let me do that. So copy animation from this one to this one, and that one. You can just copy the timeline. Now it might not be perfect, but we could actually go and change it. As you can see here, Yeah, so what we want to do is, for instance, in this one here, the starting position here, we don't want it there, we want it down like that. And then for this one, the starting position, that's good. We move that up like that. For this one, the starting position is good. For this one, let's see, what does that one do? Okay, for that one's fading in. So what we want to do is let's copy this animation and move it to this one. And then just get rid of the opacity. Like that. That looks great. We can just move it up a little bit. And then I'll go, let me just close up this one, this one, this one, and then go to the next one. 7, that looks good. 8, that looks good. 11, that looks good. So now if I move them all around and hit play, they all come in like that. That's great. That looks great. And then what I want to do is I'm going to copy this animation to the 10 one. So now if I go to the 10, let's see how this looks. And I can just close these all up again. And then I could zoom that like this. And let's see how that looks. Now, yeah, now the starting point was not good. So let's just go here and just move down each one of those. If you just drag it straight up, it should drag along the same line very nicely. See, I wasn't exactly in the same position, so I just need to just delete those secondary ones like this. Made a mistake on that. For this one here, what happened with that? The size seems to be, yeah, no, it shouldn't be the size, and let's just move that here. Just move that position out like that. Move it properly on that line, and then just want to eliminate that one and that one. There we go. And then the last one. Perfect. So now let's see. Now if I just go and grab and hold Shift on all of these like this, I can actually just move them all over to the right point, so it actually matches that point again. So isn't that nice? There we go. So now if I go all the way to the left, I'm going to close these all up and hit play. They all come in nice. So isn't that great? So now we've pretty much laid out all of them. The last one is this one here. Let's zoom it in. Let's see how this one looks. Looks good to me. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save all of these. I did show you the settings, but let me just show you the settings again. So what we want to do is we want to have the animation reload when it comes into view. And then so I did save and publish. And then I'm going to take you to the preview page. So that looks great on the preview page. If I go to the breakout page, I'm going to actually go to the IAB flexible formats, so they all load. Yeah, so a little bit of heaviness, so let me just reload the animation up here. And then as you can see, they all come in quite nicely. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is let me go back to the animation timeline. And if I go to the settings, one of the things is that I'm going to enable restart when it scrolls into view. And it looks like all the sizes are set. So we're done. So we can go and, again, open preview, save and open. And as you see, when the creative loads or comes into view, we will automatically get the animation. So that's nice because if you have that setting, it comes into view first before the animation loads. So it actually does not cause the animation to start before the entire creative is loaded. So I would definitely click on that. And then if you go to the breakout view, same thing. I'll just actually go to the flexible formats. It just waits for everything to load, and then once it loads, then it triggers the animation. So as you can see there. So if I go back to the responsive view and I change the size, you'll see here it loads and then it brings in the animation as such. If it's already, you see I flip it, it reloads, brings in the animation. I change the size, reloads, and brings in the animation. Now one of the other great features I want to show you is Parallax. So suppose you wanted to create a parallax animation. So you could choose one of the different options, start when the full creative is in view, and then end when the first pixel is off. I usually like to do it when the first pixel comes into view and ends when the first pixel is off screen. So I'm going to choose that parallax now. I'm going to open preview. It's going to reload. Let it reload based on the save. There we go. And as you can see here, it should show a blank. Now if I go here and turn on the parallax, and then when I scroll, watch what happens. It starts animating as I scroll into view. It's a very nice feature, and it basically changes the time into position. So you can see here now it's actually scrolling when it comes into view as such. So if you wanted to make it so that the background looks like it was static, you could have the whole background scroll in from start to bottom, and then that would be how you would set up that level of parallax. So if I go back to the animation timeline, usually when I'm done with it, you can see that it's on. I could just close that up, just keep it on, and just go to the beginning. And then if I save, just zoom it to the right size here like this. And then if I go save and continue, and then I actually, because it's turned on, so the animation will be turned on, save and continue, and then you publish, and just come to this page and then hit publish all, and then it will be published with your animation timeline. So that's how you set up a basic animation timeline. If you have any questions, contact us at support@responsiveads.com. Happy to help you any bit further, and good luck with your work with the animation timeline. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.